Node 40933. Connection failed. Node 40933. Connection failed. Node 40933. Connection failed.
Blast or
Node 5144. Connected to
Please note
node
this is a directed net, so please refer all calls to net control.
54115.
We will not have any scheduled pauses for emergency traffic, but we will yield the air to any break-in emergency. With that in mind, please leave room between check-ins and transmissions to allow for any emergency traffic.
We're using the University Link repeater system and the OCal Amateur Radio Club repeater system. Big thanks to Kyle, KA5D, and the OCal Amateur Radio Club for letting us use their systems for this net. Please visit the University Link repeater system's website to learn more. That's ka5d.com. And to learn more about the OCal Amateur Radio Club, including how to become a member, go to n5oak.org. So, let's start this weekend wind down. And we're going to start it with a special segment called Discord Dish. The Discord Dish is where we serve up our favorite Discord posts from the OCal Amateur Radio Club Discord server.
All right, well, this week we are going to start with the N5OAK website. Rusty did have a new and improved Fox Hunt page. I don't think there was an actual Fox Hunt page by itself, but there's a really awesome one now. You can go and check it out, and there are all kinds of stuff, and you can also sign up to host the Fox if you are interested in doing that. That's you can find that again on the N5OAK. There's another post on this is on the actually net control channel, so some of you guys will not have access to this one, but there's an ad that this is Rusty WZ5BBS who posted this, and there's an app that basically grabs all of the nets that are happening, and I think the way it works is that's linked to I forget the name of the NetLogger. The NetLogger. If the net controller is using NetLogger, then the app will grab it, and you can just log in and see all of the nets that are happening, and that grabs HF or any other net, I guess, as long as the person is NetLogger. It's called On Air Net Scraper, and I'm sure some of you guys will know that, but I didn't know that, and that is really cool. So thank you, Rusty, for posting that. I've been using that app for a couple of days now, and been using it quite often. So it's nice to have that one. It's pretty neat one. On Air Net Scraper, I think it's pronounced maybe. But it's a neat one, and it's free. We're talking this week also on the food channel on the Discord, particularly the burger one, about Rocky Mountain oysters. So that was an interesting post. Rusty started, and then Mark, NE5P chimed in also with this other, it's called the Testicle Festival in Ohio. That's pretty cool. There's an article, there's a link there. We were talking about those weird food, and I brought up the machitos from Mexico. I think they call machitos, and then started looking into it and realized that there's different flavors of that. So if you want to learn more about that, I guess you can look into the the food channel on the Discord, the burger ones, and that's where we have all of that fancy and strange foods, and it's an interesting topic.
And also, a great post on the Discord is found on Parks on the Air channel, and it was posted by Bill, N5SMO, today. And it was all about a little bit or big bragging rights. He got 1,000 Unique Park Hunted Award. So that's pretty cool. He posted his certificate on the Discord today in the morning, and I think he's getting a lot of props there. So congratulations, Bill, on that 1,000 Unique Park Award. Good job.
We also have a couple of postings on the Fox Hunt channel. This was a pretty busy weekend for fox hunting, and there are a couple of postings here from Rusty, WZ5BBS, thanks for doing all of that, on how to build a directional antenna. And also there's another posting there on how to fox hunt without a directional antenna, which I thought was really nice to have. And there is also another link there on the actual instructions on putting those directional antennas together. So I thought also that was very useful if you are into fox hunting. I know this, like I said, this weekend was pretty busy, and we have new people doing the fox hunting. I also want to congratulate Lance on his first fox hunt. I saw that posting. If you're listening, congratulations on that. W5KEX, I think is your new call. He's my Elmer too, but he has a new call, so I can't remember. Well, I think I did now. So congratulations on that, and all of you who participated. It sounded like it was a really fun one with 3 foxes in different part of town. So it's really nice, and again, I hope that you guys will join the Discord if you want to join the fun. All you have to do is go to m5oak.org and join this Discord server, and we'll get you approved. There's usually people there that could approve you right away, and it's also, aside from fox hunting, if you're not a member, it's a good place to go and ask questions. There's a bunch of channels on different topics. It's free to join, so it's always a win there. So it's n5oak.org. All right, let me do a station ID. This is the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto, KI5PZN, from the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
And Mireya, KI5SYX, from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4. Every Sunday night at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the OCal Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
So Mireya, this net is called the Weekend Wind Down Net for a reason. How was your weekend?
Hey Ernesto, you know, I am thinking about the weekends past, and I think that they've all been blasts. I can't remember when I said bust. So I'm going to assign my very first more bust than blast weekend. Man, it was super uneventful. We did go to Fort Worth to see Dad, and that's something that's not very fun. Grocery shopping and cleaning and traveling 3 hours. I mean, we love him and everything, but that's not very fun. I think one of the fun things about going to his house, I guess, is watching a little bit of TV, since we don't have that experience here at the house. We watched a pretty cool show on welding. These guys get together and create these incredible tools and weapons from the Middle Ages. These blacksmiths that are, they're do-it-yourself kind of dudes. Some of them, that's their job, but man, they create incredible things in 3 hours. And they have an expert weaponry guy and some historian there, hipster dude, telling them they rocked it or they did not. That was pretty cool. I always enjoy shows that have to do with creativity and working with your hands, and man, that was a pretty nice thing to do, watch television. So, man, that's how uneventful this weekend was. One of my highlights was watching TV at my dad's house in Fort Worth. So, I'm going to say that it was a little bit of a bust, Ernesto, for me. I did work on the house a little bit on Friday before we left. Used my incredible paint gun. I'm in love with that machine. And again, quite uneventful if my highlights are using a paint gun and watching a television show. So I'm going to pass it on to you, Ernesto. I wonder if your weekend was a little bit more eventful than mine.
Well, that's just sometimes the way it goes. You know, it's life. It comes and goes. So my weekend was, let's see, Friday I spent most of the day just waiting for the shop. I had my truck. I took my truck to get fixed. It's running pretty smoothly, but it has so many lights on the dashboard that looks like a Christmas tree, and I need to get it inspected. So took it there. The guy spent over like around a week with the truck, and they couldn't figure it out. So called me on Friday, kind of late, and that's why we left for Fort Worth late. We got there, I would say pretty late. We didn't get to play trivia this Friday, which is a sin in our community. And yeah, pretty much just, you know, chilling over the weekend. Didn't do a whole lot. Let me let it reset. This morning I did a little bit of driving around in Fort Worth, just running a couple of errands, and I have my 11-meter radio, my CV on the truck, and there was nothing happening on the repeaters or 10 meters I was checking, so I flipped to 11 meters, and that thing was lit. I heard people, I was in Fort Worth, and I heard people all the way from Boston, all kinds of places. So that was pretty neat, and I would say that was about it. And then after that, we just came back to the house, so no crazy parties this weekend. Nothing too wild, but it's, you know, at the end of the day, I'll take that over a bad weekend. So it was, like Mireya said, pretty uneventful, but I'm curious. I wonder how everybody else's weekend went. Let's call for check-ins, but before we do that, let me do a quick ID. This is the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto KI5PZN from the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
And Mireya KI5SYX from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4. On Sunday nights at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the OKEL Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
All right, we'll be taking check-ins now. If you are a new ham, you are more than welcome to check in into this net. All we need is your call sign and your name. So we are listening. Please come in with your call sign and name now.
This is Kilo India 5, Romeo Bravo Tango, Kent and Pflugerville.
This is WZ5BBS, Rusty, Northwest Austin.
This is KUG5 UNK, Doug, North Austin.
All right. We have Kent, Rusty, and Doug. Thank you guys for checking in. And we are going to check with Kent, KI5RBT. Kent, what's going on, man? How is the weekend treating you?
Pretty good so far. I've actually managed to stay awake the entire weekend and had no nap. Been working on the office. Got a lot of stuff done, but I'm kind of stuck building the desk. I think I overdid it quite a bit yesterday, so I'm a little sore and I'm taking it a little easy tonight, but I'm going to go in there after the net and do some more organization of my stuff. And some people have been asking for pictures. I'll take some photos once I get more stuff in there. I've got some 3D printers to assemble and the desk and the shelves and stuff like that. But it's coming along. KI5RBT.
Right on, man. Do you have all of the furniture already ready for the radios, or you still have to assemble more furniture?
Well, I found a company called Maker Pipe that sells connectors for EMT thin wall conduit, electrical conduit. So I've got to build the bases for the countertops out of that stuff, and I bought a DeWalt battery powered handheld bandsaw to cut those pipes. So I started on that today. My neck and my upper back are bothering me a lot, so I couldn't really bend over to do that work. I was cutting them on the back of my truck. So I'll work on that throughout the week. My plan is to have it all done by next weekend if I can. I think it's doable. It's just I got to grind on it. That's really all it comes down to. KI5RBT.
Well, that sounds like will be perfect time, because that way you can bring new junk from Belton. If you wrap it up by the weekend, you'll have space to put stuff that, junk, which is the stuff that you usually buy up there. You going to Belton by any chance?
I don't think so. I think I'll be working on their. I don't think Ben's here this weekend, but I'm going to try to do Belton next time. I'm working up to it right now. I'm on a pretty heavy diet right now and trying to build up my endurance and everything, because I thought at least once today that I was having a heart attack, so I went and did my blood pressure, and it turned out to be actually perfect. So, and I just got a note from my doctor through the lab system on the computer that my labs and everything, my A1C and everything look great. So, just a big relief on that because I've been worried about that.
Well, that's awesome to hear, man. Glad the clunker is doing all right. And then, I think last year the other Belton, it's like the other Belton, spring Belton, I guess. It's Hamfest March. I think it was March, between February and April. I remember. So, yeah, man, it will be cool if you get to go. I'm sure you'll like it. There's just so many things to buy, I guess. It's like kids going into a candy store.
Yeah, my wife is probably not going to be a big fan of me buying any more stuff, but hey, I've got a new room to hide it in, so that might work. KI5RBT.
Hey, Ken, thanks for checking in tonight. And I'm so glad to hear that you are getting a good checkup. And I know we all have to do that. As we get older, including myself, it's always really weird to go to the doctor because you take those tests and you're expecting something. Like, that always happens to me. And then I get good news. And I'm like, okay, I got one more year, and then you misbehave. Well, I do, and drink and do things that I'm not supposed to at my age, and then I have to experience the same thing all over again next year, where a month before my checkup I have to go give my blood, and then for a whole month I'm worried that something's happening, and then I get another year. So I don't know if that was your experience, but that certainly is mine for the past 5 or 10 years, or maybe 8 years. But I'm so glad to hear that you're doing well and that you're getting healthy and doing all that and working on new projects. It's always really exciting. I know that I'm working on my house now, just minor things, painting and things like that, and it always feels so good to fix things and make things nice, organizing. I always find that really inspiring for a good, amount of time in the future where that things are nice. You set them up a certain way. So I congratulate you for all your effort, and I'm a little jealous you're going to have all new stuff in your shack. So hope you enjoy it, and we will be looking forward to some photographs.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I'll be here monitoring. KF5RBT.
All right, Ken, thanks again for checking into the net. As always a pleasure talking to you, and we will stay in touch this week because we are always talking, and hopefully we'll hear you on the repeater. All right, well, let's move now to Rusty, WZ5BBS. Rusty, what is going on? I know you were hosting a Fox this weekend. Tell us all about it.
Hey, Miresto, everybody on the net. Yes, I did. I used your Fox, and I set it up. It was a lot of fun. I got there, and it was a little more overgrown than I thought, so I kind of thought about changing locations, but I was just like, let's see how well everybody does. Either everybody will find it or nobody will find it. Either way, it's kind of one of those things you got to figure out. And so yeah, I put it up at the top of nowhere, surrounded by trees, and the signal actually got out pretty well. It was up pretty high. Paul, of course, the Fox Hunt Ninja, found it first, and then Jeffrey and Ashley found it, and then Sky found it today. So, it turns out people can hear it, and it always amazes me how far that thing transmits. You think it's not going to do anything, and then I heard it all the way over on 183, so I kind of thought that was going to, give people a little misdirection. So yeah, I got that done, and then had some fun. I went over to some friend's house, and I had some people come over here. So it was a nice, chill, laid-back weekend, and it was fun watching Jeffrey, on APRS try to find the Fox. That's always a fun one. But he found it actually a pretty good time. He's getting pretty good at this. So I think we're going to have to step up our game. I did slow down the CW on your Fox like you wanted, so it's now taking a little bit longer. Maybe I'll make it a little more distinguishable. But, man, I'm digging the Fox hunts. We had 3 this weekend. Thanks AC5G and Sky N5LX for making that happen. So, yeah, man, just another great weekend, and don't want to go back to work tomorrow, but it's kind of what we got to do. WZ5BBS, back to net control.
Right on, man. That sounds like an awesome weekend. All of the things, fox hunting and hanging out with friends. I got to see the end of Jeffrey finding the fox, or at least getting to the area. And yeah, it did look like he didn't suffer too much at that one. So the guy's getting really good at it, for sure. Like, every time we think that we got something really sneaky for him, he just drives directly to it. So he's gonna be the new Paul, man. Jeffrey's going to be the new Paul here, the new Fox Ninja. And then the weekend, are you ready for the for Belton?
Oh, totally, man. I'm looking forward. I'm not looking forward to getting up early, but I think everybody knows that. Yeah, I'm looking forward. The last time I went, I found the tower light, and I went knowing that I didn't need anything, and I wasn't looking for anything, and so that's kind of what I'm doing this time. I ended up coming home with that great tower light, and I'm going to go. I don't have anything on my list. The one good thing about Belton is all the connectors and odds and ends and little bits in this, so yeah, I'm sure there'll be something that I pick up, but I don't have anything on my list, and I'm just going to go hang out with you and all the fellas and that are going to play. I think we got the Crossroads Ham Radio Club is going to be representing up there as well, so we'll get to meet Bill and all that crew. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to meeting some people face to face and going and hanging out. I think there's also a tractor museum or something like that. I think some of the fellas are going to go to. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to a little fellowship and getting out of Dodge on Saturday.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like a good time. They're going to have the gun show next door. I heard or read somewhere there's going to be like an outdoor expo, maybe in that other place too, where they have the dog show last year that Mireya and I went to. And then I heard the old track connector show that I think is going to be nearby. I think Jason was mentioning that. And that sounded really interesting too. And funny, now that I've been doing this for a little bit longer, the first time I went, that's one table that I want to stop by is all the connectors, because boy oh boy, do we need connectors and weird adapters. That now that I've been doing this for a little bit longer, I could totally see that how useful that table is. So I'm gonna be doing a stop on that one to grab a few things for the shack, man. Have anything else for the net before we let you go?
Yeah, so that was my second ever Hamfest, and we went up the night before and stayed at La Quinta, and I remember the dogs being in the hotel. That was a fun benefit. But yeah, no, it's fun. I think driving up early and going to hang out is the way to go. So I think we're getting smarter. But yeah, just kind of go and see what we need and what's there. I was kind of shell shocked the last time I went was the aisles and of radios and radio parts and this and that. So I think now, I'm a little smarter. I at least kind of know what I'm looking at and this. So yeah, it's going to be fun just to kind of go see what's up. I already got my badge on the last one. That was my one good purchase as well. So now people can know me and my call sign. So yeah, I will be fully nerded out and raring to go to Belton.
First story on that La Quinta, Mireya and I stay on that. That was also our very first Hamfest. And we walked in, and I remember smelling, I didn't see any dog, we didn't see any dog, but everything smelled like dogs, and then the elevator smelled like dog, and we looked at each other like, well, this place is not a dump. What does it smell like? Wet dog everywhere. And then sure, next day we saw what was going on, and we just started laughing. We for whatever reason, like, man, we're in the wrong place. But that was it. It was just a show, but everything smelled like wet dog all the way to the room.
Yeah, I would have had no idea, but yeah, I got in the elevator with 2 people and 5 dogs, and I was like, oh, this is great, I just kind of thought they were, traveling with their dogs, and they're like, oh no, it's a dog show, the hotel's full of them, so that's, I would have thought the same thing, but my first shot in the elevator, man, I got greeted by several sniffers.
That was fun. We had a good time, and the entire thing, the overall was fun, and we got to meet a bunch of people. And every time I've been, which is what now 1, 2, this will be my 3rd one. Yeah, you always get to talk to people that you talk to them over the radio, but you've never met in person. So it's always fun to do that part. I'm gonna throw it back to you.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was the first time I met you at Belton or if we had done a social thing before that, but yeah, I remember seeing you and Mireya and Ray and Allie and Jeffrey, W5MAN Martin. I saw him out of the blue. He does trivia, and I was like, hey, I know you. So it was really kind of funny to see all the people that I knew, because I was expecting to know absolutely nobody. And so yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. And the swap meet and all the stuff out in the parking lot, dude, it's just like, it's a great time. It's a great way to spend Saturday morning. So I'm looking forward to it, even if I do have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Hey, Rusty. So, happy anniversary. I'm sending you a big hug because this next week is going to be the 1 year since we met at that Belton Fest 1 year ago. So, sending you a big, big anniversary hug.
Oh, yeah, happy anniversary indeed. Because this is definitely the first time I met you. He was keeping you away from us, and probably for good reason. So, yeah, happy anniversary. Big hug back your direction.
All right on, man. Well, I appreciate you checking in, man, as usual, and it's always fun talking to you. We also have a pending lunch now that I have my truck back, so we have to figure something out this week, but we can text about that and figure something out. All right, well, let me do a quick ID. It's been a while. This is the Weekend Wind Down Net. It's hosted by Ernesto, KI5PZN. From the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
And this is Mireya, KI5SYX, from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4. On Sunday night at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the OCal Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
All right, and now we are going to go and check with our friend Doug, KG5UNK. Doug, what's going on, man? How's the weekend treating you?
Well, glad to hear you guys made it back safely and had fun. I've actually had a good turnout or a good event this weekend, which was repairing this radio that had failed on me a couple weeks ago, and this is actually the first time I've transmitted on it since getting it working, and it seems like everything is functioning correctly, and I'd like to know what does the audio sound like?
Good audio, man. It's really clear, quiet, full quiet. What was the deal with the radio? What was the issue?
Just so you know, I'm coming in from the 775 repeater, and I was going to switch here in a second over to the 2-meter band just to check it out. But so, like 2 weekends ago, there was a contest, VHF contest, and I was going to use this band, and it decided that it wasn't going to work anymore. So, long story short, a capacitor leaked, ate up a bunch of traces, and I replaced a bunch of other parts, and late last night I got it working.
Well, kick-ass, man. It works really well. It has really good audio. It works really well, man. Works awesome. Did you do any fox hunting this weekend?
Okay, I'm coming in on 320 now, 320. No, actually, I didn't. Like I said, I spent pretty much on and off over the past 2 weeks trying to everything down in this radio. Well, Saturday, I was giving it one good last attempt, and it eventually paid off. So I didn't get out. I thought about it today, but we had to go run some errands, and I never did. I never actually even listened for it. I kind of missed out on it, considering it. There were 3 of them, and but there'll be more. So how's the audio over here in KG5UNK?
Just as good as through the other repeater. I'm on the 220 on this one, but yeah, it's coming in really clear, really good. No issues there. Yeah, the weekend fox hunting wise sounded like a busy and fun one. I also missed it, so it's kind of once you kind of get used to having a fox either every weekend or every other weekend, you kind of miss driving around looking for that thing. You planning on going to Belton? Back to you.
Yeah, I hope to see you guys there. I hear you guys are going to go early. I probably won't go quite as early as you all. I'll probably be there, I don't know, 8:30ish, 8:30, somewhere around there. It's Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. I just kind of show up. I guess if I did something that bad, I'd get there, Friday night, but I don't need anything that bad. How about you guys? I heard you need connectors and stuff, and I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, at this point, actually don't need anything, but those connectors, every time you're moving stuff around, you're like, oh man, I wish I had one of this, or I have, 90-degree ones, whatever. So I think for sure I'm going to be stopping down there and getting some of those. Obviously, if the typical stuff, I would love to find me a 2-meter amp, but I know that that's really rare to find at a decent price. So that's the only thing that I guess I would grab if I saw it. And one of those big attenuators, like the one that Rusty and Paul have, or the one that you keep in your car, the long one, that wouldn't be a bad item either. So I don't know, but again, I don't need anything more than anything. Just talking to people, and if I see something interesting that it's worth it, I might grab it. End up like Rusty getting that big, the big red light that looks like the Kenny Rogers Fried Chicken episode from Seinfeld. Like it makes the house all red, but it's still a really cool finding. So something like that, I wouldn't mind, man. I wouldn't mind. So I don't know, we'll probably get there. I don't even know what time they open, 7:30 or something like that. Not too crazy, to be quite honest. Back to you.
Well, I'll have to admit that is one of the best scores I've ever heard of out there, and I know it's not right for everyone, but yeah, I think I could find some place to put one, maybe on top of the house.
All kinds of helicopters and aircraft trying to land in your house. So don't do that, man.
Yeah, roger that. Yeah, that's all I need. I'm already in the flight path, so everybody landing to the south usually flies right in this general area, so we wouldn't want them making a mistake there.
I know it's there's always stuff happening. I also get a lot of air traffic here whenever I remember and tune in, which is entertaining when there's nothing on the repeaters. But I think this week, now that we have the 320 back up, the Slack chat should be busier than usual. I know you usually hang out on the other repeater on the 100 in the afternoons. Usually there's quite a bit of I guess. Pretty decent group on the Slack chat. At least this last week, we got a couple of evenings or afternoons where it was decently busy. So, looking forward to that as well. Hopefully, we'll get more people on the repeater and more new hams also on the air, and we'll try to get more people licensed too soon. So, the goal is to get these repeaters busy and keep the crickets away. See you.
Oh yeah, I know, I agree. Well, for a long time there was only two of us that seemed to be occupying any repeaters, and that's how the other one kind of got going. And I do listen. It just depends on you can only talk on one. I guess I could switch back and forth, carry on a conversation on one, and then reply on that one to a question that was asked on the other one. Make everybody think you're crazy. KC5UNK.
Yeah, that would happen to me if I attempt to do something like that. I probably wouldn't hear either question because that would be overwhelming. But no, I hear you. Like the other day, I was telling Mireya, usually you don't hear. If you're lucky, you find one repeater active and you just listen to that while you're working. The other day, I turned on the radios and the Oak Hill repeater was busy. This is when I guess so. Yeah, the Oak Hill repeater were busy. Kyle's repeater were busy, and the Austin Amateur Radio Club repeaters, the two of them, the 200 and the 100, were busy too, and I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, this is probably the first time that I've seen so many conversations happening at once, and I have to pick the one. But it was interesting to see that many people talking at once using all the local repeaters. So it was neat, but this is the only time that I've seen that happening.
Well, I have heard from from some of the people actually out there driving that they seem to have noticed that in the past 2 weeks that the amount of traffic has increased. So, you know, putting more of us back into doing that daily drive puts more people on the air. So that's good.
It always helps, and it helps me too, because I'm, work from home, so it's kind of nice to have people on the background. All right, man, I'm going to send it back to you one more time, in case you have anything else for us.
No, I'll have to say my weekend turned out to be great because, like I said, I really I like this particular radio, and now that it seems to be up and running again, I had a great one. Thanks, man. Thank you guys, and like I said, glad to see y'all made it home. Had a good weekend and made it home safe. KG5 UNK, back to you, and Nesto. Thanks a lot.
All right, Doug. As usual. Thanks again for checking into the net. We always have a good time talking. So it's always fun having you on the net as well. Let's see. Let me do a quick ID. You're listening to the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto, KI5PZN, from the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
And Mireya, KI5SYX, from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4. Every Sunday night at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the Oak Hill Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
We have Kent, Rusty, and Doug checking to the net. You can do that too if you want to. All you need is your call sign and name. So please call in and give us your call sign and name.
Whiskey 5, November Delta Sierra.
W0 TCO.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Kilo Victor Juliet. This is N5LX Sky in Oak Hill.
All right. Andrew, Garrett, and Sky. We are going to go and check with Rod, W5NDS. Rod, how is the weekend treating you?
Well, good evening, Ernesto and Mireya, and everyone else on the net. Weekend's treating me pretty well. I wanted to give a little report on the 10-meter net. We had a fellow station from Jamaica call in, and 2 or 3 of the guys were able to work him. He was in Montego Bay, and then toward the end of the net, Jason called in, KB5 MPJ from Buda, and so that was good, and I just enjoyed a homemade brownie here a few minutes ago, so I thought I better report on that. And I also got one Doug, I'm glad you got your rig repaired. And I resolved a little problem here with my old Yaesu 736R here in Studio B. It wouldn't accept the offset for the repeater down there at Kyle, the Hays County repeater, and I changed the spacing, the channel spacing for 2 meters, and then all of a sudden it was happy with the 600 kilohertz offset. So still wasn't able to bring up the repeater, but the channel is properly entered. Then well, I'll leave it at that, guys. And glad you made it back from Fort Worth. And so W5NDS back to net.
All right, Rod. That sounds like a pretty awesome weekend. And the net, sorry I missed it. We left Fort Worth around that time, but that sounded really awesome. You got a check-in from Jamaica. I bet the guys were all excited. It's always so cool when somebody calls from far away. I remember one time I checked into your net, the 10-meter net, and I think it was somebody from Chile. I think it was either Chile or Hawaii or both places. I know that there's been a few times that we've been listening on the 10-meter net, and there's like a really nice TX coming in and joining the net, which it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool because it's not your typical, typical contact. They're calling into a net far away, so it's always nice to get those far away check-ins. So I'm glad that happened. I am sorry that I missed it, but I'm glad that guys got to talk to that person. Now, Rod, I think last week somebody was trying to get a hold of you through the repeater, and I think I might have sent you an email, maybe not, but somebody was looking for you, trying to get a hold of you to help you program the radio that you were asking help with programming. I'm not sure if you got in touch with the person. I didn't write it down because I was working, but I kept hearing the person on the background calling you on the Oak and on Kyle's repeater. So I hope you guys got together. Back to you, Rod.
Well, I believe that was Chris, KF5 DPX, and he said and I talked with him directly on the Thursday night net, and he said he was going to be busy for a couple of weeks. And I heard later that one of the Oak Hill guys worked him in a park up in Minnesota. But he'll help when he gets back in town. So thanks. I think I just have to wait a little while till it can all fall into place. So 73s and W5NDS signing and listening out.
All right, Rod. Thanks again for checking into the net. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And we will talk to you soon this week. We are always on the air, man. Thanks again. We're going to check now with Andrew, W0TCO. I hope I got your call sign correctly. What's going on, man? How is the weekend treating you?
Hey, Ernesto. Thanks for running that here. Weekend is going well. A few weekends ago, I'd moved to Denver, this past weekend. I came back and grabbed my car. So I am officially almost out of the state of Texas. I'm actually sitting in a hotel in Armadillo right now. So tomorrow will be my last day in Texas, which I'm pretty excited for. I haven't really had much time to do radio stuff in Colorado, but it's always good to hear everyone on the Sunday wind down net. So just want to check in and say hello, and hope everyone is having a great weekend. So that's all I got to say. Back to Net.
Right on, man. Thanks for calling in. Do you have a node by any chance? Are we going to be hearing you on the local repeaters going forward? Back to you.
That is affirmative. Yes, I have plans to set up a node. I think there's someone else. Is it Jeffrey out here in Colorado that is also a member of Oak Hill? I see him on the Discord group. But I do have plans to get a node set up for All-Star and Echolink and all of that fun stuff. But right now I'm coming in on K5D, Echolink on my phone. So that's why it might sound a little different. But yeah, I do have plans to get that set up, and I think it maybe HF frequency would be fun to broadcast from. Don't know how that all works or anything, but it should be fun. So yeah, I have plans to get it all set up and everything, just haven't had the time to do it. This is W0TCO, back to Net.
All right on, man, and don't forget the 10-meter net on Sundays, just in case you have 10 meters capabilities up there. You can always check in on that one. Maybe we should start like an HF net here to capture all the members that have moved away. Maybe like a 40-meter net or something like that. We would have to probably toss that around and see if there's any traction or something like that. But thanks again for calling the net, man. I appreciate it, and I hope that everything goes well with the final phase of the move, and you get your car over there and everything goes well. Denver's really nice up there. You won't be dealing with this heat at least up there. So it's really nice. Glad that everything is going well. And if once you get that you have Echolink, so don't forget about us. You can always check on Echolink through the N50AK or the KA5D repeater system. So we hope to hear you soon, man. Do you have anything else for the net before I let you go?
Nothing major, just that the Echolink for the N50AK repeater is not hooked up. Not sure if there's internet back at it or anything, but the Echolink is down. Not sure if you knew that or not. Just wanted to let you know, but that's all I got. This is W0TCO, wishing everyone 73. Back to Net Control.
All right, Andrew, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, earlier, now that you mentioned that, earlier I was trying to connect and it didn't let me in, so thanks again for that. I'll ask the guys and see what we can do. But thanks again for checking into the net, man. We'll talk to you soon, hopefully. Now we're going to go and check with Garrett, KG5KVJ. Garrett, what's going on, man? How is the weekend treating you?
I would say pretty good so far, and thanks for running the net, Ernesto. There was a philosopher, I think, that was asked about what the Earth sits on, and he said it's a turtle. And somebody's asked, what's that turtle sit on? He says, well, it's a turtle. He goes, well, what's that turtle sit on? He goes, it turtles all the way down, right? And that's what I feel like my life is right now, with just feces and urine. It's just feces and urine all the way down and vomit. My cat, I woke up, one of them, they left a nice, 1.5 foot, diameter puddle of vomit on the bedroom floor. And then I had to clean up, one of the windows, which one of the cats had vomited on somehow, magically. So that's kind of what I've been dealing with today, just cleaning up. I had the sister-in-law over with her newly minted husband, which is why I was doing all that cleaning. So the house does smell fantastic, and it does look fantastic, so I am absolutely grateful for that. And I'm probably going to close up my evening with trying to make the PTO lever work on the John Deere 110. while listening to some music or some sort of podcast. KG5, KVJ, back to net control.
Oh man, sounds like you're pretty busy out there. I thought for a second that you were talking about daddy duties with babies because, sometimes they're drinking milk and there's, vomit flying all over the place because that's just how it works. It's been a while for me, but I still remember those days. But no, it's the cat, so holy smoke. They better behave, man, because now there's a baby. They could get, they could be sent to the barn. Back to you.
No, unfortunately, my wife will not let me put them outside. But there's also the feces and urine from the baby, so that's fun. Luckily enough, I do about 1 or 2 diaper changes a day, so my wife gets to deal with the surprises when she goes to clean up the last diaper. And mid cleanup, next thing you know, the kid's got to use the restroom again. So that's pretty fun. KG5, KVJ, back to net.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that. You have to do it very quickly and be willing to dodge anything that could come your way. That is hilarious. I've forgotten about that, where you're like, oh, but you just went to the bathroom. I've totally forgotten about that particular part. And it's, you're right. You're like in the middle of it, and there they are doing their thing, and you're not even ready. But yeah, man, it's I'm sure you've heard this from everybody, and I'm probably going to be the next one to tell you, but enjoy it because it's just passed by so fast that you'd be like, what the heck happened here? So I'm glad everything is going well, man, and your weekend seems to be a pretty cool one, and that end of the weekend sounds also magical, working, doing some work and listening to radio. So that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Do you have anything? Oh, let me ask you something. Are you going? I doubt it, but are you going to Belton by any chance?
It's not in the plans. Perhaps if I can convince Leah to do it, but I'm not going to push for it. Not this year. Perhaps next year, once we get Tilly a little bit more established and a little more easy to travel with. And I'm not really hurting for anything. I'm just looking at that President Lincoln. And man, my eyeballs blew out once I saw the price of that thing. But I think it's going to be in the books here within the next year or so.
Yeah, man. It's I figured with the baby, because you guys just got the baby and you probably sleep deprived, so Belton is just one of those things. On the radio, I think the reason why it's a little bit more expensive than your typical CB is because they're selling it as a 10 and 12 meter radio that pushes 50 watts. So I get it, but it's you will be really happy with that radio. I like the fact it's also pretty, compared to a big HF radio, it's a pretty small one. So it's a really nice radio, man. Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Well, I was looking to pick one up for my brother, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to do 2 of these. But anyway, KG5, KVJ, back to net control.
All right, man. Well, let me know once you get the CB, and we'll get on 38 lower side band and do some conversations there. It seems to be pretty busy too. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you checking into the net, and we will talk to you soon. I saw that you signed up to run the Thursday night net, so hopefully that stays that way, and we get to talk to you then. All right. Well, you're listening to the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto, KI5PZN, from the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
This is Mireya, KI5SYX, from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4, and we are here every night, not every night, every Sunday night at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the OCal Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
All right, we're going to check now with Sky and 5LX. Sky, what's going on, man? How is the weekend treating you?
And 5LX, hey Ernesto. Pretty good. I did the fox hunt. Wasn't very successful on Saturday, but I found it today, and I figured out why. So I think I sent Rusty an email telling him. The reason I didn't do very well in the last 3 hunts, I got really frustrated, is I got a new SDR, but it turns out it didn't have very good sensitivity. So when I went back to my HT, I could hear. I was like, man, I drove right by the thing and I didn't hear it. And when I used my HT, I could hear everything. So anyway, that's part of the fun, I guess, is learning about stuff like that. But anyway, the other thing I did was I put my HF rig back together after finishing the desk that I built, and it's pretty cool. I've only made a few contacts, but I'm really going to enjoy it. I got a linear and an antenna tuner to hook up to my HF rig, so I'm really looking forward to using that. Over to you.
Well, right on. How much power do you have on that amp?
Yeah, Ernesto. It says, well, it's an Ameritron, which, I guess they're pretty common. It's supposed to do 800 watts, but I don't think I'm going to run that because that's kind of pushing the load on the breaker. So, I was just kind of fooling around. I'm going to kind of go for 400 or maybe push it up to 600. I don't know. I'll see. I'll find out eventually. But it's supposed to do 800.
That's definitely pretty nice in HF for sure. Yeah, you'll see, I guess, once you see the lights dimmering and your neighbors screaming at you, you'll find that sweet spot on how much juice to push out of that guy. Back to you.
Yeah, this is N5LX. That's actually, I thought about that because when I first hooked it up and I started tuning it, figuring out how it works, it's vacuum tubes. It uses a lot of current, but when I started putting out a lot of RF, it lights up my fluorescent lights. I have an attic antenna. It's like 20 feet north of where I'm sitting, but it'll light up those fluorescent lights. So I was like, yeah, I gotta be aware of how I'm affecting people around me, because if you use sideband or CW, but especially if you use AM, it gets detected by the output section of audio power amps, even if they're turned off, and it's not real loud, but sometimes you can hear them coming out of the speakers. It's kind of funny.
That reminds me of the 70s with the 11 meters. I remember watching TV and a car will drive by with their CV on and their amp all the way up, and you could hear the conversation on the TV while the car was driving by. So you probably might have a little bit of that going on AM if you push 800 watts.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know. I haven't tried AM. It sounds really good, but I'm kind of into side. Excuse me, just a second. Kind of lost my voice, but so I'm going to turn it back to you. I don't know. I had a endoscopy last week, so my throat's still kind of sore, so I kind of lost my voice. But this is N5LX, and I'll get back to you guys in a minute.
All right, Scott. Yeah, no, I understand, man. No need to be stressing out over that stuff. So you need to take care of your throat. It's, Yeah, dude. Thanks again for checking in, calling us. Let me do a quick ID. This is the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto KI5PZN from the 224.100 repeater, tone 100.
And Mireya KI5SYX from the 441.325 repeater, tone 97.4. And we're here every Sunday night at 7:30 via the University Link repeater system and the OCal Amateur Radio Club repeater system.
All right, I think we still have chance for one last round of check-ins before we go to the SwapNet. So if anybody would like to check in, especially Newhams, if you're out there, you haven't used your radio yet, and you would love to talk with someone, this is a good net, man. This is pretty relaxed. So all you need is your name and call sign. We're listening.
K5 Tango Radio.
All right. I have George, K5TR. George, what's going on, man? How is the weekend treating you?
K5BZN and the net, K5TR. Hello. I've only been here for a couple of people, so hello to whoever else is out there. I've been busy. I would like to say I've been working on antennas, but I have a couple of antennas I want to build, but last weekend I told you I went to Alabama. The weekend before I was working on my mother's building a pump house for her. And so I spent most of yesterday and all of today working on that again. Still not finished, but making good progress. More or less finish it up. Another weekend of work. Other than that, not much going on. KI5PZN, K5TR.
Well, right on, George. Yeah, I remember your road trip last weekend. That sounded really cool. But I guess this weekend you were kind of like us doing doing projects and stuff that we needed to do. Antennas, I mean, that's always fun. Unless you're, cooking out there in the sun, which I'm sure this week was still pretty warm still on that side. But yeah, man, the projects over the weekends, it's funny how that works. Sometimes we get a bunch of them, we get them all out of the way, we get a little bit of free time to play, and then we have another long list of projects, and that's, I guess, comes and goes. Are you planning on going to Belton this Saturday? Back to you.
No, I'm not going to go to Belton. It's this weekend is a contest that I usually like to operate, and it starts on Saturday morning. It's always the first full weekend of October, so it collides with Belton forever and ever. Anyway, the contest that I'll be doing will be the California QSO party, so I'll be talking to just Californian stations, but there's a lot of them, and so it's always an interesting contest, because even though I only make contacts with Californians, you can make like 12 or 1,300 contacts just talking to Californian stations across the HF band, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty wild, but it makes sense because California is so big. So if you're going all the way from south to north, you get plenty of area to cover. But still, that's a pretty big number for a weekend. I know that you've been doing this for a long time, and probably no big deal. But for us, the newbies, that sounds like a huge numbers of contacts to have over the weekend. But again, you've been doing this for a long time, and this is part of your game. Do you guys have anything out of the ordinary with this QSO? Do you guys have a limit on how much power you can use, or it's just like a typical contest? Back to you, George.
Well, they do have a low power category, and they maybe even have a QRP category. In fact, I know they have a QRP category, multi-op category. I'll be doing a single op high power, so I'll be running 1,500 watts. I encourage anybody that can get on HF. It starts Saturday, and it runs till into Sunday, so it's both days. and I definitely encourage people to turn on their radios. Talk to some Californians. The exchange is a serial number, and the state, so most of the people that can hear me now would be sending a serial number and then Texas. And the serial number is just the number of the current contact. So your first contact, you would tell the guy number 1 Texas, and the 10th contact is number 10 Texas, and it progresses like that. So that's kind of cool. You can tell, how many contacts everybody's made, which is kind of fun. But there's a lot of activity, so there's lots of California stations on the air calling CQ, and it's always a really good. They do a really good job, so it's always lots of fun. And you get to work. You get to talk to all these. You get to learn all the California counties, because they use a serial number in their county as their exchange. So get to work all the counties.
Well, right on. I like that. I like the serial number, because then, like you said, you also get to see where that other person is compared to you. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it sure sounds entertaining having, keeping that number as you go. Now, do people that are not contesting, can they call in the guys that are trying to get contacts, or do they only, is it like between people that are participating basically, or can somebody just come in and give them the point? Back to you, George.
Well, there are very few contests that require everybody to submit a log or enter the contest, if you will, to be counted for credit. There's actually this is like a Japanese contest where, and I think there's maybe a European contest where if the people don't submit a log, those contacts don't count. But there's only 2 or 3 of those contests that I've ever heard of. So no, anybody can get on. So you can get on and make a bunch of contacts, and you don't have to submit a log or do anything, and those things will count for all those Californian stations.
That makes sense, and it's good to know too. That way, if you're not going to participate, don't get in the middle, and then just let people do their thing. Right on, dude. Well, that sounds like a productive, good weekend. I know it's not all fun. You have projects and stuff, but sounds like the next one will be a little bit more fun with the contest. You have anything else for the net before I let you go, man? Back to you.
I don't think so. I did get on. I didn't check into the FM net, but I did check into the CW net this week, and that was kind of fun. And I worked a guy who I think it was his first HF contact. W5 Mike Victor Delta, I think. Anyway, that was kind of cool. And then I did tune around the bands a little bit. I worked a few DX stations on 20 meters on CW. I worked a couple of I worked a Russian station, and I worked a station in a place that I haven't heard on the air a whole lot lately. I worked a station in Kyrgyzstan, and so that was kind of cool. That's a long way away, but it was neat to make that contact, because there are not a whole lot of those guys on the radio. Anyway, Ernesto, good to hear you, and hello to everybody else, and hello to Maria, is not checking in here, but I gather is listening on the other frequency. KI5PZN and the net, K5TR.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate you checking and sharing all that information with us. And, yeah, man, good luck with all of those things. Yeah, I mean, it is here as well. But, yeah, thanks, dude. Appreciate, again, your check-in, and we will talk to you soon. Because, like I say, we are always on the air. So thanks again, my friend. This is KI5PZN. All right. It looks like it's time to wrap up the net, because the swap net is coming up. But before I do that, I'm going to read you a list of the local nets so you can stay radioactive throughout the week. If you are a new hand, this would point you to where the action is. And we start on Mondays at 8 p.m. with the Oak Hill Amateur Radio Club 6-meter Mondays, hosted by Rick, AI5A, and that's on the 50.125 megahertz frequency at 8 p.m. on Mondays, 50125. On Tuesday, we have the Oak Hill Southside Simplex, hosted by Ray, K5BZI, and that's on the 146.555 megahertz at 8 p.m., 146.555. On Tuesdays as well, we have the DMR Soundcheck Net, hosted by George, W5JTX, and Tommy, N5ZNO, and that's on the 441.300 megahertz repeater, the DMR machine, at 8 p.m. on Tuesdays. And if you go to n5oak.org, you can check for DMR nets. There is a DMR net every night, so you can look into that, and that's on the n5oak.org under the net calendar. On Wednesdays, the UT Amateur Radio Club Wednesday Net, hosted by Matthew, KN4LRA, on the University Link Repeater System and the N5OAK Repeater System at 8 p.m. On Thursdays at 7:30 p.m., the Oak Hill CWNet, hosted by Pat, W5WTH, that's on the 3.532 megahertz at 7:30. 3.532 megahertz at 7:30 on Thursdays. On Thursdays, also at 8 p.m., the Oak Hill Thursday Night Net, hosted by a different operator every week. That's on the N5OAK repeater system and the University Link repeater system, again at 8 p.m. On Fridays, the famous Oak Hill Friday Night Trivia Net, hosted by Rusty, WZ5BBS, that's on the N5OAK repeater system and the University Link repeater system at 9 p.m. That's the only one that starts at 9. On Saturdays, the Austin Amateur Radio Club Elmer's Net, hosted by Jeff, N5MNW, on the 146.940 megahertz repeater at 7 p.m. 146.940 at 7 p.m. The Elmer's Net. At 9 p.m. on Saturdays, the 220 megahertz Guys Original Preservation Net, hosted by Steve, KB9DSQ, and that's on this one, the 224.100 megahertz repeater at 9 p.m. Sundays, we have the Austin Amateur Radio Club 10-meter net, hosted by Rod, W5NDS, on the 28.410 megahertz frequency at 3 p.m. 28.410 megahertz at 3 p.m. on Sundays. At 7 p.m., the Travis County Aries Weekly Net on the 147.360 megahertz at 7 p.m. At 7:30 p.m., this one, the Weekend Wind Down Net, hosted by Ernesto, KI5PZN, and Mireya, KI5SYX, on the University Link Repeater System and the N5OAK Repeater System, again at 7:30 p.m. At 9 p.m., coming up, the Austin Amateur Radio Club SWATnet, hosted by Jeff, N5MNW, on the 146.940 megahertz repeater at 9 p.m. That's the one coming up. Those are the weekly nets where you can have access to, and you can stay radioactive throughout the week.
Thank you for joining us tonight on the Weekend Wind Down Net. We hope that even if your weekend was a bust, and definitely if it was a blast, that we all keep the momentum, focus on the positive, And here's to a great start to your week.
We'd like to thank Kyle, KA5D, and the Oak Hill Amateur Radio Club for letting us use their repeater system. Please visit the University Link Repeater Systems website to learn more. That's ka5d.com. And to learn more about the Oak Hill Amateur Radio Club, including how to become a member, please visit m5oak.org. I'm Ernesto, KI5PZN, using the 224.100 repeater.
And I'm Mireya, KI5SYX, using the 441.325 repeater. And from our QTH in East Austin, 73. And thanks again for participating and listening tonight. This system is now returned to regular amateur use.
Thanks, Ernesto, N5LX.
Hey, Sky. Thanks for listening and checking in, man. It's always a pleasure having you, man.